Well, you know how we do this. We do one of the games first and then one of the games to end it. Do you care?
It don't matter to me.
Cool, because I'm getting this out of the way.
Don't matter to
I'm
me.
getting this out of the way right now. So Ohio State beats Indiana 23-3.
Or Indiana finds a way to lose, or finds a way not to get blown out by 40 points.
All right. Well, I mean,
because listen. Okay, early on in the season, non-conference and even some conference matchups, very early, you end up with these teams that are wildly overmatched, right? And so a few times this weekend, you see teams absolutely going ape shit. USC had 65 points.
Sure.
Oklahoma had 70. Oregon had 81 points.
Yeah.
Okay? Some of these teams have absolutely no mercy and they want to try and score 100.
Mm-hmm.
And so what some of these smaller schools, which I don't know why Tom Allen is running Indiana like it's a mid-major and not a Big Ten school.
Yeah, I don't know.
But whatever, he's adapted this idea of, okay, when we play these teams that we're clearly outmatched by, I'm not going to actively try and win the game, because when you do that, you turn the ball over a lot, you get sacked a lot, right? And then the game could end up looking very ugly very quickly.
Sure. What
you can do is basically the equivalent of going into the fetal position, right? Run on first down, run on second down, pass maybe every other series, and when you do, it's going to be mostly screen passes, hitches, slants, things that make sure that the ball gets out within 2.5 seconds and the actual pass rush doesn't have a chance to get to you. Now, what annoys me about that is two things. Number two, it's anti-competitive, and it's not really building a program. Like, if you're not actually trying to win, then year over year, the guys that you are expecting to come in and make a difference aren't, because they weren't trying to win last year. They were just trying not to get beat up, right? They were trying not to get assaulted, and that's not the same thing.
Yeah, Indiana looked like ECU.
Yeah, they were doing the same thing.
As much.
And the second reason why I hate it is because it doesn't give you a real look.
Sure.
Right? Like, you probably win the game going away, but some of the stats come off as alarming to you, mainly the tackles for loss and the sacks. Right? When a team is not providing you opportunities to get those, what are you going to do? What you going to do?
Indiana did make it hard to kind of read certain things. We'll talk about some of these things, but the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that very clearly Kyle McCord has won the starting job, because Devin Brown was out there for a series and they ran the ball every play. So.
Okay, I don't know if he's won it, but they definitely went back on what he said in terms that both guys will play thing. Because, I mean, like, the first series that he got it was weird, right? Because it's like, it felt like, you're right, McCord was the starter, and then they just kind of brought in Devin Brown. At
the very least, Ryan Day trusts him to at least guide the rest of the game.
But then he throws the pick on fourth down, and then you yank him. Well,
that was probably the worst time to.
Well, bruh. Okay, so is it really a competition still? Is there a starter? It just kind of adds a little bit more confusion to what was established before. Definitely. If he'd have went out there and they alternated series straight up, it wouldn't have looked the way that it actually looked, which was, okay, Kyle was the starter until he went out there and fucked it up, and then we put Devin out there and didn't get shit, and then we put in McCord again, which just seems like you don't have shit figured out at all.
And you don't trust either quarterback.
Either one, which is what I said. I said that. I said that.
Well, but in that specific case, if that would happen, I would agree.
I mean, but in any case, they're going to need a few weeks. I don't think they're settled on a guy. The more surprising and alarming thing to me is that he had 239 yards and only 36 of that went into Egbuka and Harrison.
Okay, so let's talk about
that. That's a bit of a concern.
Let's talk about Kyle McCord's play in this game,
because he wasn't putrid,
bad.
But he wasn't above average. He was just kind of like average. He was mid. He was 50.
It felt like he had first game jitters in the first half, and then the second half he kind of settled in. Ryan Day
still missed some throws in the second half too.
No, he did. And we'll talk about. So there was 4 plays where I felt like could have drastically changed the outlook of at least how people felt about Kyle McCord's game. Kyle McCord throws a bomb to Julian Fleming on a play action pass, and it goes right through Fleming's hands. Now I'm kind of conflicted because I don't want to blame that on Fleming. I think Fleming just kind of had his hands up, and he wasn't actually ready to catch the ball.
He was layering the ball over the safety. I don't know if Fleming completely saw him because he low-key mistimed the jump. He kind of
I think it just right so happened that the ball went through his hands. I don't think he was actually ready to catch the ball.
I mean, that could be part of it too.
But we ended up punting the ball on that drive. Could have turned into a scoring drive. Kyle McCord's go-to guy on 4th down when he threw the pick got hit during his route. So then he made this cross-body throw, which was ill-advised.
I heard somebody else say that's not a. So my main receiver went down, so throw it to the other team. That's not a
ill-advised throw.
That's not a
ill-advised throw. Absolutely.
Throw the bitch in the dirt, throw it into the 3rd row, throw it anywhere except to the other team.
Ill-advised throw. But I mean, him not having that guy there.
That means you don't pick up the 1st down. That don't mean you turn the ball over.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Ill-advised throw. But I will chalk that up to first game mistake. We don't score on that one, obviously, as a turnover. Kyle McCord runs a draw and has a solid lead block by Chip Trayanum just for Kyle to not hit the hole on the right for what would have probably been a touchdown.
It's not a runner. Not a runner. And really, on 3rd down, it's a bad play call for Kyle McCord. Who do you think you're fooling, man? Who are you fooling? And it's not like your offensive line is just road grading everybody.
Yeah. No,
so who are you fooling with the quarterback draw on 3rd down with your non-running quarterback?
I think that's a play, though, towards the end of the season. He cuts right.
Okay.
And they score a touchdown instead of settling for a field goal, which they later on do. Last play is Marvin Harrison gets pushed out of bounds and pays more attention to the ball than his foot placement. And we miss out on a touchdown. Now, we ended up scoring on a Mayan Williams touchdown, but that was also a play where Marvin Harrison didn't get the ball. Cade Stover ended up being our lead receiver with 96 yards.
Cade Stover looked like Baby Bowers.
Sure. But honestly, I just think, throwing to the tight end, throwing to the flats, screens and things like that. A
lot of shorts. I'm going to be very interested. I know Zach Smith's going to chart this game. I know he's going to chart this game. It's already charted.
Absolutely.
It's already charted and out.
Sure.
I believe it.
Sure.
But I'd be interested to see how many throws he made in the 10 to 20, because his most efficient stuff was in the 5 to 10.
Yeah.
It was straight up in the 5 to 10, and when he had to go beyond 10 yards, I would be very interested to see what those numbers look like.
He had a couple, but not a lot. And so, I just feel like Kyle McCord probably just needs a little more time, a little more experience, and a little more trust from Ryan Day in the playbook to get him ready to start throwing those heaters.
Really should have been 2 turnovers. I don't know what the fuck was going on with that fumble, or why the homeboys Nestler and I don't know what the other guy on CBS's name is, but I hate listening to him. But I don't know why they were so hard on that. He pulls the ball back here. The Indiana guy puts his hand right on top of it. I don't give a shit if he's still bringing his arm forward. I have the ball. I have just as much right to the ball as you do. You can't claim possession when you don't have 2 hands. I have a hand on the ball. You got a hand on the ball. At that point, if you're bringing your hand forward, it's not with the ball. That's why the ball didn't go forward. It fell off. Anyways. Indiana
got away with something too. We'll talk about that
Indiana. Later. Yeah, did they? Did they? But I mean, Indiana wasn't playing to win anyway, so it wasn't like they were going to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Tom Allen is really, before we start continuing on Ohio State, I don't understand what you're doing, fam. I really don't. I don't get it at all.
Yeah.
Like run on 3rd and 10, run, punt, and then you're like smiling and high-fiving guys while they're running off the fucking field. Like, yo, nobody's getting better over there, Tom.
The only real bright spot for them was their punt returner.
Sure. Or punt returner / running back. But then when he got hurt, it seemed like the whole game plan went out the window. All right, let's just try not to get assaulted here.
Yeah.
Cover your holes.
Yep.
And your vital organs.
I was disappointed by Ryan Day's lack of aggressive play calling, which, coming from the Georgia game, I would have thought he was sold on being aggressive.
Hey, man. I tried to tell y'all that when that man, his answer to this season was to name Brian Hartline offensive coordinator, but to retain play calling duties.
Yeah.
Fam, he's not self-assessing. He's not digging deep enough. Either that or he doesn't believe the narrative about him. Right? Play calling, aggressive playing style, running the ball are all blind spots for an interior offensive line for some reason. Are all blind spots for Ryan Day. Like, those would have been on the top of my list outside of defense. Like, if I'm assessing the offense, that's where I'm starting. Is the points in which I am going to be aggressive and try to run the ball. It would be interior offensive line play. And it would be, I guess, running the ball in general. Would be, those were the main things that would stick out to me from an offensive standpoint and what needs to be adjusted. And they don't seem like they were things that were very high on his list. Either that or they just weren't very effective in changing it year over year.
I don't think Donovan Jackson was that bad, guard-wise.
Maybe not individually, but I know if you're going 3 for 12 on third down,
no, that's true.
And most of those were short yardage plays, and you weren't much better on fourth down either.
Yep, and that was something that was a problem last year too. So I'll agree with you there. I was also disappointed in the way that, like you mentioned, the run game didn't look great. Travion Henderson looked even worse just by himself. Travion Henderson could not get it done. Not really sure what's going on with him.
Hey fam, I ain't even gonna cap. How did Trip Trainum come out of this offseason looking like the best running back? This one game.
Yes.
But boy,
people are calling for Chip and Mayan to be 1 and 2.
Hey man, no Evan Pryor today
and
or
no
yesterday.
Dallin
No
either.
Dallin Hayden. I was kind of surprised by that.
I was too. But it'll be nice to, at least when we get later in the season, to get some fresh legs on the field at the very least with those guys. But
Sure.
Chip
Still
definitely looked like a guy, which coming from linebacker is kind of crazy.
No, that's nuts.
And then my last thing is the lack of CJ Hicks. I mean, the defense actually looked pretty good. Denzel Burke came to play. The DBs looked decent. Sonny Styles actually got out there. He was coming from one side of the field and getting tackles and had a tackle and a half for loss.
Yeah, I wanted to see him play a tight end. Indiana didn't have one for him to contend with. I wanted to see how that worked because they played it up a lot about not having the sub while he's on the field. For whether or not they're in 12 personnel or anything like that, 13 personnel, he can play tight ends.
Yep,
I want to see it.
I agree.
I want to see it.
I agree. I thought that the D line got a lot of penetration, but it didn't go anywhere. Like, it didn't get us a lot of sacks. Didn't get us a lot of tackles for loss.
But again, like even though I would love to sit up here and pile on about another underwhelming defensive line performance for y'all, you can't get an accurate look when a team is not. There are going to be different feels. There's going to be different opportunities. You're going to be put in different positions when you're actively trying to win. Yeah. Right? Like, if Indiana had it in their mind when they had the opportunity, okay, we're going to push the ball down the field. That's going to create an opportunity for a sack. They might have done that maybe 3 times all game. Yeah. Right? Because they're so conscious of how undermanned they are, and they'd rather lose by 20 and claim that that's some sort of step that they can pitch towards their guys. See, this is how close we got to Ohio State. Right? We didn't lose 50-0. We lost 23-3. I know that wasn't a great loss, but it's more respectable. Yeah. On paper. Sure. But you're not gaining anything in terms of experience. You're just going out there and trying not to get effed.
Agreed. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen CJ Hicks like we were told we were going to get, and we did not. It was Tommy Eichenberg and Steel Chambers the entire game, basically. So the only position on the defense that didn't really get much rotation. And I don't know, Jim Knowles. I don't know what's going on with you on that aspect, but thank you for at least having the defense on point yesterday.
Yeah, at least, okay. Thank you for having them scared. Or having the offense scared. Yes. I didn't remember Tom Allen to be that type of coach. Yeah. But literally, he's coaching like an FCS school. Yep. Like, let's go out here and not get blown out too bad. And I don't know when he started playing that brand of football.
You got me.